Hello everybody and a warm welcome back to Apex Chill and Racing League. My name is Zabi and we are live for another round, and it is round 4 here at Barcelona-Catalunya in Spain, as we're not yet into qualifying, but we're waiting for qualifying to get started. My name is Zabi and I'll be taking you all through for action as we get through every weekend. It is 15 minutes of qualifying and then a 25-minute race that follows the reverse grid of the previous race into the next race as well. So just before we get started, let's have a look at the standings, team standings, before the drive is here. It is Apex Originals leading up with 478 points. Perez Racing with 455, then about 9 points behind. It is, rather 11 points there would be. And then this disappeared. Let's get this one back. Yeah, then it is Numty and GT scored with 446, just ahead, 3 points ahead of Chemistry Racing, who are in 4th place with 443. 028 for Team Papaya. And then come will be Racing Hoons with 284. Team Pain with 211 in last place. We've got a special guest here. It could be from Team Pain or maybe not. As now let's move over to the driver standings as we look into this. It is Ryan Cooper leading up ahead of everyone. 261 points ahead of RLD, who's down only 2 points behind him with 259. Then it is GT in 3rd place with 242, with then Plenty in P4 with 235. In 4th place. Then it is with 219. It is One Parawood in 5th place. Who has had a very good campaign up until now as well, with 219 points. And then it is 208 with Smoke in 6th place, followed by Numty in 7th, 4 points behind Smoke with 204. Plenty, he's down in 8th place. Has had very good last two rounds, 4 races there would be, with 196 points. 2 points ahead of Lisandro Silva with 194 to their name, 180 to Wolf, and then it'll be Craze in 11th place with 179 points. Nitu with 150, 147 for Page. Monte Carlos with in 14th place with 104 points, and it is Kane, who hasn't been able to attend the last 2 rounds with 64 points, but he will be attending tonight though, maybe not on the track, but with us here in the commentary box. We have him for us for the night. How are you, mate?
Hi Zabi, and thank you for having me here. It's interesting actually seeing it from not racing for once actually. So yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight and gonna see what people can do at this track.
Definitely, and I mean, for once, when you're not racing, that was a little bit of a moment from Plenty, but what is your mindset going into such a qualifying session? We're watching practice now, so qualifying is not started yet, but what you would be thinking if you were one of them for the moment?
Well, it's one or two things really. Either you try and hide your pace a little bit so you can surprise some people in qualifying and in race, or if you're very confident and you're happy with the track, it would be put a real fast lap in, just to set the mark and kind of tell the other drivers basically where you're going to be.
Yeah, definitely, but does it also make it harder, for example, if you are trying to hide the pace, but when you actually go for the pace itself, realistically, you can't get it sometimes. Does that happen also?
It can do. I mean, sometimes it has its benefits and sometimes it has its negatives. I mean, for one, if you're happy leading a race, brilliant. If you can build that like half a second / 1 second gap in front in first position to second, it kind of takes a bit of stress off. But at the same time, if you're trying to hide a bit of pace in the car, sometimes it can help you because obviously you're following a car. It saves you a bit of fuel. you haven't necessarily got your full attention on trying to keep the lead as such, but more of follow the car in front. So both have their own sort of advantages, but it depends on the racer, I suppose, and the personality of the person.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, at the moment, GT at the top in this session with Ryan Cooper in P2, along with Nito in P3 at the moment with 129.5. That's a decent time. But now I think these drivers, do they also like, or you know, for example, let's say Ryan Cooper, he's currently almost at the very top of the championship, but would
Mm.
he be thinking that, okay, I stay where I am, do my thing, or let me just put a very fast lap and show everybody around that I am very fast and I won't let anybody take my position?
True, but the only thing that can come from this is you try and gain 2-3 temps on a track, and sometimes like you can get a half-second penalty. So it's kind of risk and reward really. But ideally, some of these racers just want to find a rhythm, something that they're happy with, that they're just kind of getting lap after lap. It's difficult to hit a fast lap every time, but it's just trying to settle in and get the nerves right, just so they can sort of find a rhythm. I'd say is the strongest point of this racing.
All right, definitely. So consistency is what you're trying to say. They need to get exactly. I think that's what pretty much everybody looks for on a racing track, especially, doesn't it? Don't they?
Oh, definitely, yeah. They're trying to find race pace. I mean, outright qualifying's great, but it all depends in the race that really matters, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And considering, sure, you're gonna have have a qualifying pace. Blenny has a little bit of a slide here as he's almost gonna find the wall there as he's into the pits. So yeah, basically, especially in such a format where you have to, sure, you have qualifying for one race, but then whatever you put in race one has to come into race two, doesn't it? It's like, sure, you're gonna be able, even if you do win race one, you start race two from the back of the grid. So you still need speed and consistency in the race itself to do the best you can in race two.
Definitely, and that's the joys of the reverse grid in some ways. Some people love them, some people hate them, but it forces you to have to think of a different strategy and a way to get around other drivers, essentially, even if you are the quickest. So this is a track where I think track position is going to count for a lot.
Yeah, definitely, and I think strategy will be fun as we just talk about it. We're into qualifying now, finally, as we have, in fact, many drivers out trying to get out on track already. So drivers are definitely more than ready to get out on track and put a lap in.
Indeed. A couple of racers staying in the pits, maybe just trying to build a bit of a gap. Richard, oh no, Craze has just come out the pits now.
Yep, along with GT, Nitu, both of them out as well, along with Lisandro. And it's almost it's almost the end of qualifying where everybody's trying to get to the finish line and get a lap in, other than the starter quali.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you've got a couple of cars bunched up going around on the outlap at the moment. I mean, I expect some of them to maybe back off from each other just so they've got a bit of clean air. But yeah, I think we're going to see some interesting tactics today, really.
Definitely, I think, considering right now from Wolf, Jones, and everybody almost is bunched up from the pack till the top. Rather, Von Paravudi, isn't he? He's the one. Yep, he's the one leader of this pile up. But definitely, everybody's now building up. So let's get started. And it is going to be Von Paravudi, the very first driver to start a flying lap here at Barcelona-Catalunya. Smoke is right behind him, but it's going to be Von Paravudi now heading towards turn one around the main straight in sixth gear, going as fast as he can. 290 kilometers, almost slowing down as quickly as they can into second gear, back to third, and up to speed again, and onto the accelerator, and getting as much speed as they can onto those corners into fourth gear. A little bit of a slide there into the right-hand, but what about them here into 6th, back to second, but still maintaining speed. Look at that, that's the importance here, that you're going to be continuing. You'd have to brake as hard as you can, but then also continue with the speed and rhythm that you want your lap to be, because otherwise it could be very difficult in terms of, you know, if you just slightly make a mistake, all of your lap could be ruined, and all the progress that you made will be, you know, undone, so you don't want to do that. And by the looks of it, there was some dust at the back, and I wonder if smoke went into the gravel there, as Wampara would find himself near the end of the middle sector. 102.7 from Smoke, 102 point something was from Wampara as well. So these guys would be neck and neck by the looks of it at the end of at the end of this lap. And let's see what RV predicting here. The fastest time was in the 128 in the practice session. Around the final corner he comes now, over to the finish line. 130.3. That's not one of the fastest times what we saw in practice. 130.6 from him. GT goes fastest, 129.8. Lisandro goes even faster, 129.3. He beats it up from GT, as Plenty then puts up a time on board at 128.663.
Wow. That's a great lap for an out lap. He's he's well, arguably higher fuel load than he usually would be for that sort of time. I think a few of the racers as well, including Nitu and Smoke, may have misjudged the gaps that they left each other for starting a quali lap.
Yeah, definitely. I think, interestingly, on the first lap, you'd think that, okay, very early in, drivers maybe would be trying to simply prep in and do a prep lap in qualifying and then go for a very fast one, but Plenty, that is an excellent lap for a first one.
Remarkable, in fact, actually. I know he didn't get a toe off his teammate, but wow. But you can see from the tire degradation, if you look at some of these tires now, especially the Lexuses, the front left is just eaten after that out lap and first lap.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's the reason these drivers have to, make sure what they are going to be doing. Such a situation, if it comes at the end of qualifying, it could make or break it for you.
Yeah, definitely, indeed. I mean, I expect a few of these drivers now to basically go, no, that's it. I don't want to waste any more time. I'll come in for a fresh pair of boots and try going again, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of them will be time, and many of them are about to come to the end of their laps right now. Actually, many of them are actually coming into the pits rather than finishing their laps. Wolf has started the lap, but they're now into the pits as well. So anybody we could find coming to the end of their lap, we're just making our way through. It could be Craze, who are just making their way around, but they're going to be coming into the pits as well. What about Ryan Cooper? He's on an out lap at the moment, one of the very fast drivers who is yet to begin their lap. And I mean, with how much pressure is Ryan going to be carrying now with his teammate Lisandro already in P2 and Plenty with that mega lap already?
Yeah, well, I think the problem that Ryan's had, and I haven't seen it, but I could only guess, is on his fast lap out, he may have just unfortunately gone over the track limits, which has voided him of setting a qualifying time, as he doesn't have a time on the board. So he's still got time, but he wants to take that pressure off himself and his team and just get a good time on the board.
Definitely. I think he had a penalty, so I believe he would have possibly ran off or invalidated his lap, which penalty I suspected on one of the previous runs that he was having. So that certainly gives us an answer. He has a huge slide there, but nearly catches it back. That was a bit of a scary slide, but catching it back again, nicely done there.
Ah, yes, it's. I did say the Lexus seems to be dependent on wind direction, and also this track. It doesn't seem to be its favorite track at the moment. Whereas the Honda's been driven beautifully by Planty, and a great time for a first lap. Really incredible.
Definitely, and as we just talked about those first runs, he's already out on the second one as he's on an out lap, and we're about to see him do another lap. So that'll be interesting to see whether he goes faster or not. Meanwhile, one man who we are about to see whether he'll go faster or not, and that is Ryan Cooper making his way around the final corner, runs very wide, nearly catches gravel, but over to the finish line. I wonder if that lap will be validated. Nope, that is an invalidated lap. He runs wide, 129 or something it was, but he is going to have to pay the penalty as well, and he runs wide again. So just coming into the final corner, just couldn't get it right at all.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, this sometimes happen. I'm sure he'll stick a lap together at some point. It looks like he's just trying to get to the penalty serving line as quick as he can to start another lap by the looks of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he'd be wanting to just get to the end of you know, where he can pay the penalty, can't he? So definitely, I think as you said, the Lexus wasn't really going to find it easy, and we could already see that. You know, he just hasn't been able to put a lap in, and it's been a couple of laps these drivers have already you know, managed to put on this track. So definitely, the Lexus finding it quite hard then.
Definitely. I think the Lexus seems to, it's more stronger on faster turning corners as such. Maybe the last corner it might be more settled, but you're talking tracks like Monza with, you know, long sweeping high speed corners. It seems to do really well, whereas the Honda's come into its own on this one, and I'm sure throughout the rest of the season there'll be good tracks for the Honda and good tracks for the Lexus, and vice versa in terms of bad tracks. But I don't feel envious of anybody driving a Lexus on this track today.
Yeah, but then also, you know, as a driver, would you think, especially in such a situation, you know, one track, you know, one round we're going to be going with GR3 cars, the other round we're going to be going with GR2 cars, but then do drivers generally simply go for their favorite cars, or they also, you as a driver want to decide that I want to get a car which performs, you know, best at every track, you know?
An all-rounder as such, yeah. Stability of the car is you want to have trust in the car. It doesn't necessarily have to be the fastest car on the track, because sometimes, more often than not, them cars come with their own little quirks where it'll actually be a hard car to drive, but it will put a fast time in. Whereas a car like these, usually drivers pick them based on a sort of all-rounder approach, that it's stable and it's not gonna do things that they don't expect. But out of all the tracks I've driven this Lexus on, in my experience, this track certainly seems to make the Lexus. How do we put it? It's a bit of a handful, but it's still a fast car. It just depends on how patient the drivers are with their own inputs.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if we put it in easy words, it makes a Lexus sweat, doesn't it? You know, makes it hard to really cope on with the track.
Definitely.
Yeah, so Ryan Cooper now out on the lap again, as they're going to be at the end of the first sector, almost to the end of it, and that'll be 26.491. Meanwhile, a driver behind them, I wonder just who that is behind them on track, and I can't actually find that, but we'll just have a look at that. Ryan Cooper just following him.
That looks like Richard there, Zabi. He looks like he's going as slow as he can deliberately to try and save the tyres on his outlap. I think Richard's going to be, if we watch him on the next lap, I think he's going to be really trying to put a fast lap in.
Yeah, definitely. I think he'll be looking for the best time, for the best opportunity here, and already is no, that's actually not them, as I'm navigating through the track to find Ryan Cooper, and already ran a little bit of a slide once again, so definitely at the moment, as you said, the struggle for the Lexus continues on. He'll make on another mistake, little bit of a slide again, but just copes up with it, and I think right now he's just be hoping that he gets a lap on the board rather than be fast or slow, and nicely done this time, doesn't get near the gravel, and up into P3, 129.4.
Not bad, not bad. We have Richard here just behind Ryan as well, that seems to be going for his, let's say, he's trying to put a good time in. We know he can do it. It's just about getting it to happen all at once.
Definitely, I think recently he's done a brilliant job as well in the last couple of rounds, so definitely that confidence builds up as well as the results come in.
Oh yeah, he's certainly picked a good car for his Group 3 racing this year. I'll give him that with his Alfa Romeo. And he's a good driver with this Lexus as well, so be interested to see what he gets on this lap.
Definitely, and also certainly a lot of drivers, on GT, they're going to be on the outlap. A lot of drivers, even especially here and a couple of other rounds, the two brands that we're mostly seeing, or rather most of it, is actually Lexus for most of the drivers. Only the chemistry team drivers, I believe, have the Honda.
They do indeed. Again, they come with their own personalities. I'd say the Honda likes to be quicker top end, but it's difficult to get that out of the car other than long straights like on Monza. But it's a great car all around for stability. But again, the Lexus, it's a strong car, but it just has its own little quirks on this track, it seems to be. You've seen it from Ryan, a couple of other drivers now. Just it likes to be very temperamental on the back end, very slippy out of corners almost. Oh, and nice time.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, as you say, it's a driver preference more than the car itself. The car itself is a thing, but then whatever a driver prefers, they rather tend to go for it.
Yeah, Rich has got a 129.198 on the board. He's yeah.
That's a very good time at Lizandra, 129.386. Ryan Cooper, 0.435 as he's again on an outlap. So I wonder if he came in and went out again. Smoke with a 129.9. So drivers are putting those faster laps in, and Smoke is almost looking like he's getting a bit of a tow from his teammate here.
Yes,
That's a nice
great
little
teamwork
technique.
there.
That is brilliant teamwork from the two teammates there, and let's see how much of an effect does this tow get on Smoke's lap, and that'll definitely be visible at the end of it. But he doesn't improve in that first sector. That is an interesting.
Sometimes it does put pressure on the driver as such, though, doesn't it? Your teammates effectively sacrificing a lap that you could put in, but there's nothing to be gained for Planty. But it does put pressure on you. I've been in that position where you're getting a tow off a teammate, and it kind of puts a little bit more on your shoulders, so to say, to get a good lap in. But he's doing well in seventh. He's got a strong car there, and I'm sure his strategy he'll work something out in race if he can't improve on this.
Definitely, but as you said, it puts a little bit extra on the driver. You couldn't improve in the first sector, then follows in obviously in the middle sector. But also, would you say that pressure's worth it when the drivers get it right? Or if, let's say, Evie didn't get that tow and he didn't have that pressure, maybe he could have got, if not more, just a 10th or so?
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, he's probably got an extra 2 temps there, but maybe the toes come at the wrong time. I mean, his front left looks like it's just about hanging on now, but sector one's a tricky corner. Coming into turn one, turn two's fine, but that long sweeping right hander it's just so easy to misjudge, and it sends the car wide.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, learning it through, and obviously with your experience, it helps out for all of the viewers, I'm sure, watching as well, to know what the driver's trying to do, what their tactic will be, and overall. So I'm sure everyone watching would be having some fun out there for sure.
We've got 3 drivers with 128s. I mean, Planty's is substantially quicker, but that's pretty impressive.
Definitely. I mean, still plenty is despite that, and Ryan Cooper now 128.919. Despite those struggles and despite the car losing the car a couple of times, he still has put a lap in. That's good enough for P2. And I mean, let's not round him off. If he does get a good lap, let's say the perfect lap, maybe not perfect, but a consistent mistake-free lap, maybe he can get, if not faster, at least closer to plenty.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the problem we've got here with a couple of drivers is I think they're on we've got Jonesy. It's just 2 temps down on his best time for sector 2. It's a difficult track again. I know Carl's not been happy with this track and car combination in the week. But again, this is one of them races where I think a lot of it's going to be won off people's mistakes, or so essentially, and everyone's in it. You may appear slower on the lap times, but there you go, Carl. Unlucky, matey.
Yeah, then, so pretty much as we just went through, a lot of this qualifying session has came to an end. Everybody is almost on their flying laps, as Plenty has managed to put it in the wall. But then looking at this then, as it is, Plenty on pole with a time of 128.663, and Ryan Cooper with 9.919 in P2, followed by GT, another driver in the 128s, 977. Then RLD in P4, followed by Numpty Ned in P5, Losandro in P6. As we just get to the end of it, we'll have a look at the results from here. Then Smoke in P7, followed by Nitu in the top 8. Just ahead, just behind him is Jones in P9 with Page in P10. One Wood in P11. Wolf and Craze complete out the 13 car grid in P12 and 13. So we're just ready, and definitely, I think we might have not much. We didn't pretty much cover much action out on track, but definitely, I'm sure getting that insight was fun, and it's pretty much, you know, in a session where the race results decide what happens in the next one. So that'll be interesting to watch out, and I'm sure going into the race we'll get more action than we did in qualifying.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, wow, Planty's really really set the bar there, hasn't he? I mean, Ryan's done pretty well to get in second position. But this is going to be it now. It's going to be the case of what strategy are they doing? When are they going to pit? What are they going to decide to do? It's going to be interesting to see, because you've got a lot of teams split here. So, I mean, Numpty Ned and GT are pretty close, so they can try and work together to either slow Richard down or potentially allow Numpty Ned to get past Richard. Smoke's in a good position too with his Honda. It's a strong car, so I'd half be expecting to see Smoke potentially on hards. I reckon a couple of drivers will potentially be on hards just to try and settle into the race, while basically not trying to race anyone too hard yet, but maybe into lap 7 onwards. That's when they'll start to gain the confidence and push with the car, maybe.
Yeah, definitely that'll be a thing. And now, what are the drivers thinking? You know, like that. Do they want to start on the medium or on the hard tire? And especially considering that soft tire isn't lasting them much. Do they think that, okay, we're going to start on the medium, go get some quick positions earlier on, and then finish on the hard compound, or start on the hard and then have the comfort of the medium later on?
Well, it all depends on turn 1 for me, where I usually decide on a tire. If it's a real tight turn 1 where the cars are going to come to a real slow approach speed, I like to be on a stronger tire just in case someone likes to send the car down the inside. But I mean, you use hard tires on these cars, it's gonna take 2 to 3 laps for these tires on hards to warm up, whereas the medium's going to be, it'll probably be firing up pretty quick. Maybe sector 2 it's probably very nice and comfortable with. But for me, I think the Lexuses from maybe 1 to 8, the Lexuses I expect to be on mediums. Anyone past that, I'd say they could potentially be on hards. But again, it's just so many different tactics of people's undercut, and it's hard to decide. But I expect Planty to be on. Oh, I expect Planty to maybe try going on with that sort of speed, maybe go on hards and try and slow people behind him down, maybe. So it gives him the advantage as such if they're on stronger tires. It's a difficult track to get around, and I think he knows this himself. So it's going to be interesting. But if you go on hards, you do run the risk of misjudging the tire temps and spinning in the first lap, unfortunately. So we'll see what happens, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely, as we're now out on track and almost about to get started here, as we're ready to go racing, as everyone is out on track. The 5 LED lights are ready to go out, 4 of them, and now we have 5 lights out, about to go out. They were held for a little bit longer time as we go racing here at Barcelona-Catalunya. It's a good start for Plenty. It's a decent start for Ryan Cooper as well. GT right behind, along with RLD. They all will be heading towards stand 4, almost 3 or 4 wide, heading towards stand 1. Plenty's just going to try and defend up his position. Meanwhile, on the inside line, it'll be JT and Ryan Cooper who will be side by side. Meanwhile, Richard RLD in P4 with those guys, with Ryan Cooper and JT still going side by side as Ryan Cooper just gets enough of it. Or does he, though? Because GT might try and come back at him there. Nobody has just yet given up there.
No, great start from Ryan and GT and Richard there. Richard just missing out, unfortunately. He's on the mediums there, so he got a bit more grip. But as I said there, I expected Planty to potentially go on hards, and he has, and so is Ryan, in all fairness. If this was GT now, he'd be push, push, push. Oh, Ryan with a slip there. Yeah, GT is going to be trying to put the pressure on Ryan, and I expect Richard to be doing the same.
Definitely great with your prediction there. Ryan has a little bit of a slide, so that is going to be interesting, as definitely the pressure we're talking about could be already on him, though, as GT goes for it on the inside line, pushes Ryan Cooper a little bit wide, and GT will be through into P2. The position and pressure that was on him already has been taken. Meanwhile, Richard now tries to go around the outside of Ryan Cooper, but just about has to stay behind for the moment, and already we are in be it lap 1, with the drivers are taking all the risks and positions they are tend to take here, as Ryan still in P3 with RLD in P4. Meanwhile, one of the drivers behind it could be on the fun as well, as C. Jones for a moment you'd have thought he's moving around, but that is Page behind him in P9 with One Wood in P11. Meanwhile, the Team Papaya drivers are at the back, and plenty over 8/10 ahead of GT here, and by the looks of it, GT might be gaining on that medium tyre on Plenty.
Yeah, he's going to be gaining, but it's going to come at the cost of burning them tyres up, unfortunately. So it all depends on them, how they race about this. They can race each other hard, but they're going to cost themselves time and potentially pull themselves back into the pack. But to me, it looks like Rich is going to get Ryan at some point soon as well, because Ryan wasn't too happy on them softs in qualifying. He got a good time in, but on them hards, he's just trying to get them temperatures fired up quick. But again, it takes 2 to 3 laps.
Definitely, and already we're seeing now a bit of a fight between Plenty and GT as well. GT's caught up to Plenty in no time as we talk about those tyre burns. Meanwhile, Smoke at the back is trying to make a move on one of those drivers, and that is going to be Jones. They both will be side by side. Jones will have the inside line. Smoke will have the outside line. They will both be side by side, and now Jones has gotten up ahead, but Smoke will be in a bit of pressure from One Wood as he loses out that one as well. Smoke then lost out 2 positions in a span of 2 corners, and GT at the main straight will be on his way heading towards turn 4, trying to get ahead of Plenty. And will he be able to do that, though? They both will be side by side. None of them wants to back out, and Plenty might have to back out there as GT takes up the lead on lap 3 out of 17, making the most of those medium tires out here.
Yeah, certainly. He definitely is trying to get position there, and it looks from Plenty's perspective, if he can just keep his head happy now where he is, the race will come to him from GT in a couple of laps. The temperatures of every person with the hards now is going to start feeling a bit more happier on corner entry, corner exit, and the medium people will, well, they'll be trying to dance with the devil, and they'll be trying to keep the tyre temps just happy so they can get the laps in that they want with the tyres. But seeing a bit of action at the back here with Jones and Smoke Dog and Pagey. Yeah, some nice battling here.
Yeah, definitely your team trying to get some points out there, as Jones is almost going to try and go for it on the inside. Rather, he will actually go for it as Page is trying to push a little bit wide. The Jones will be able to get that move, and he's got it done.
Aye.
As Jones now in P7, still just trying to stay at the moment in P7. Meanwhile, Numpty is further up the road of these guys, so it'll be interesting to see whether if there's going to be once again Page coming up at him, and he already has come up at him and ahead of him already, way before the braking zone into turn 1, and he's got the move done, or has he though, because Jones will come back at him, and who's going to be later on the brakes of these guys? And it will be Page this time, as Jones has to back out of it. And I think it's super important, you know, you could judge more, you could tell us more about it, Kane, that in such a situation, like, do you want to be late, trying to brake later than the other driver, or just earlier than them, and you know, back out of such a situation? Because you know that in such a corner, if you do not back out, you could make contact, and if that's done, you'd be losing positions, and all that hard work that you've been doing from laps in would be undone.
Definitely. I mean, track position's key here, but you know, if you're looking at your race time overall that you're going to cross the line with your points in the end, you know, slow in, fast out is the way we want to go in corners. But when you're racing this close to each other, some of it's ego, some of it's just pure adrenaline, and obviously we all want to overtake and be in front of people, but you just have to calculate sometimes risk and reward. How much of my tires am I going to chew up? How much of my fuel am I going to burn chasing this person down? Your race is with the person in front of you, but at the end of the day, everyone's got to cross the line. So you've just got to calculate in your own head what you're happy with.
Yeah, exactly, and that gets us the idea for everyone watching as well. To sure, sometimes we're watching on the screen and it's like, oh, you could have just braked a little bit later and then could have got the move done. But then obviously it's a little bit more than that. And I think as what you're trying to say is more than racing, it's more technical in terms of calculating and everything, what's going to play out for you and what is really going to be the best.
Absolutely. I mean, we've all heard of the switcheroo in racing, and no driver ever likes to be the person that lunges in late on a driver and gets a slight overtake at the apex, only to see that overtake be taken away from the car that they've just overtaken. They don't want to have a switcheroo reversed on them. So some of these drivers they'll be racing, but you've got to get your arms out to get positions, and that's how you get points. So as long as they do it fairly and cleanly, that's all that matters.
Definitely, and I think we're still having a look at this as Richard followed him, but Ryan struggling out on those some of corner exits that he's found the curb on the outside a couple of times. So definitely a slight bit of struggle from him still there, as he's got a penalty as well now that he'll need to pay. So he'll have to slow down, and that means that Richard might have the opportunity to get ahead and take the position from Ryan there.
Yeah, you can start to see it now on the medium users with GT in pole position with his 2-second lead. His right rear left is quite happy, but his front left is really going down now. The Planty in second, his is about 75%, where you look at GTs and it's below 50. In the next lap or two, you're going to see these medium users that have pushed on them like GT. You're going to see that time go down next to Planty, and I do expect Richard at this point. Oh, he's got a penalty as well. I do expect Richard to be putting this pressure on Ryan, but Ryan seems to be just holding him off enough here.
Just off. Both of them got a penalty. That is interesting. So, I did see, Ryan went a little bit wide and then Richard followed him. So I wonder if that's the case, or Richard maybe would have got it in one of the other parts of the track. But I mean, it's the same thing, isn't it? Being in the same part. And this was the part where both of them ran a little bit wide to get themselves, I believe, what the penalty would be, and that has been now paid as well.
Yeah, I'm going to call it. I reckon these Hondas are probably going to try and go lap 9, lap 10 and pit for the mediums. Whereas these Lexus users, nice overtake there by Jonesy on Pagey. I'll have to have words with my teammate after this race. But you can see from Jonesy's front left there, he's going to really struggle in these last two corners coming around to the straight.
Definitely.
Screeching everywhere.
Ooh, absolutely. I think drivers are definitely going for moves, considering we're 6 laps in, but most of it already is now again. Page will have the opportunity to get past Jones there as heading towards turn 1. Both of them being on the same compound tyre, as Page will be there on the inside line. Is switching up on the inside. Jones will be around the outside, but he hasn't backing out at all. He continues on to take out there, and he keeps it for himself, and he keeps the position. So definitely, I mean, by the looks of it,
he's going to send this, Zabi. I think I've got a feeling he's going to send. He sent it.
Yep, he sends it on the inside line as Page gets the move done now. And I mean, I was about to say that Jones's tire is pretty much gone the front left, so he would have been like, okay, let's just make the most of it by committing around the outside. But in the end, we could see that it wasn't enough, and he has to compromise in the loss of a position.
If they're not careful and they're concentrating on each other, though, Smoke is going to be the benefiter of this, though. He's, they're holding each other up by fighting, but Smoke's tires is he's on hard compounds. He's going to have extra grip around these in this last sector now, and I expect Jonesy to come in. If that tire depletes all the way to bottom red, it effectively is the same as like a puncture on the tire.
that could be interesting because definitely I think Jones, there is no way for him to stay out anymore. Meanwhile, Smoke, you would have thought he's almost through on him, but Jones has just somehow managed a way to defend. But he's, as we said, is going to be coming in, but then Smoke is going to be around the outside to
Oh,
get
Carl
to.
on the pit entry.
Ooh.
He's hit the wall.
Oh, he's hit the wall. There's a bit of a mistake, and that is it. You know, that would have been the compromise of staying out too long on that tyre. And
He'll be all right. It definitely is. He's tried to turn that corner on that front left, and the front left's just said no. But if he gets his head down here, he can make some good time and positions.
Definitely, but you know, as he can always do that. I think such situations could happen to others, and I think, as you said, a lot would be gained by others' mistakes. So definitely, rather, you know, he's going to come out on better tires. Definitely feeling a lot better than he would have been on those older tires. But then also, now it would rather be the case of, okay, if somebody makes a mistake, he's going to be there pretty much on their tail to take their position.
Oh, definitely. I mean, if we look at like drivers that are out on track still, like Smoke Dog and One Parawood and Need2, you can see from Smoke's car, his tires all around are pretty good. Same for One Para's, but you do notice the front left is really worn. And then if you look at Need2's, just, you know, the Lexus versus the Honda, essentially, just the front left really gets eaten up on this track by the Lexus.
Definitely, but then also I think that, do you think the such thing of tire degradation and stuff depends from driving styles and driver to driver, or it's more of a car thing where you say, you know, the Lexus eats up a bit more than the Honda rather than the drivers?
I think the cars have their own personalities as such. I mean, I tried both of these cars on this track today just to get a feel and a bit of data for the race and commentary, and I'd say definitely that a lot of it comes down to the characteristics of the driver. But overall, if you were trying to drive these cars the same as each other, I would say that the Honda's a bit happier with this track in terms of stability and tire degradation, whereas the Lexus, I mean, it really seems to eat the tires. But I'm trying to work out whether or not that's just from people really revving the gears out in the cars in the Lexus, as opposed to maybe short shifting and, you know, taking the tire scrubbing off, basically, from driving a little bit slower around some corners. Remember, slow in, fast out is the key, really.
Definitely, and I think that it could be both the things, as you said, and pretty much it is now time for everybody to almost come in, and let's just say that Paige, your teammate, has done a brilliant job, despite being on the medium tire. He's still out there on the track.
Oh, I expect nothing less from my teammate.
Yeah, definitely. He's giving it all, you know, being the lone warrior for your team there. So he's definitely giving it up. Meanwhile, Numti is at the front as well. He should be coming in. He doesn't coming. He's going to stay out. He's almost going to do what exactly Jones did, pretty much be end on their on that front left. Meanwhile, Lizandra behind them could be on the attack, and a possible chance for the move. Meanwhile, if you were on our talks, GT has pitted from the lead and has Polandi already has taken the lead at the top with Ryan Cooper in P2, both of them of course being on a set of hards, so they'll be coming in along with
Yeah, I'm just looking at GT's times here. It looks like when he's pitted on lap 8, lap 7 for him is a 1:49, where he was doing 1:31s before that. So his tires were definitely going off. It's just whether or not now that Planty is going to stay ahead when he comes out of the pits, really, compared to GT. That's going to be the question. It's difficult to work out at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think it plays a lot of a role, such, you know, whether you can you undercut the driver that you're trying to, you know, you can't overtake, or you're trying to overtake. You know, it's kind of situation like box to overtake. You know, you pit before the car ahead, and then when they come in, you'd be ahead of them on the track as they'd lose time. But then also those who stay out, and the motto for them would be to push enough and stay out on the track enough for a long enough time to gain enough time on the car behind to not really get undercut. But as we just talked about, that Plenty is now in on lap 10 for a pit stop along with Ryan Cooper.
Yeah, and it looks like Alessandro, our youngest driver, I think, is they're doing really good here. He's got clean air, which is what he's gonna want. It's just how fast can he get this last lap potentially before he comes in for his mediums. You know, if you stay out too long, you're gonna lose time. But if he can get one real quick lap in here, maybe he can get an undercut. But GT's just coming past the pit exit. He's ahead of Plantney.
That is an interesting feat. Plenty has lost out, and that means GT has managed to get the undercut done on Plenty. And sure, earlier on we were saying that GT is going to lose out a lot of time on those mediums later on to Plenty. But it is definitely all sure the result of the undercut, but the gap of over 6 seconds is a result also of the gap that he had build up before the pit stop on Plenty. Before the pit stop, the amount of gap he would have built up would have certainly resulted in definitely this huge gap after the pit stops.
Yeah, just going through the field now. We've got Jones on hard, Nito on mediums, Smoke. See, the thing is, if you, the people that are on hards now for their last stint, you know, the car will have its full fuel load in, so the hards and the seconds, well, the hard users that have started on mediums, they'll actually be putting in faster lap times than the people that started on hards, just simply because they're carrying about 20 kilogram or 15 kilogram less fuel. But it all depends on how much you can get out of these mediums. Like in Planty's position now with GT, he's got a 5-second deficit to try and make up to GT, and I half expect that'll get closer and closer as the race goes on. It's just whether or not it's the perfect balance of when he pitted and when GT pitted, basically.
Yeah, exactly, and I think definitely, as you said, those hard tires would be better, but then a little bit like goes Plenty there, but he comes back out on. So now, like 4.6 seconds, we could already see Plenty is gaining time on GT there. So GT, does he think that, okay, I want to preserve a bit of laps there and maybe go a little bit slow, maybe not slow, but not overdo the tires against Plenty, so Plenty maybe catches up to him. He could fight up and have enough grip on those tires, and on the other end, if Plenty does push a bit too much on their tires, he's going to lose out a lot of tire grip as he goes a little bit wide there. We could see that, and definitely with that we could get an idea of how much he's just pushing to not not get let that gap build up to GT, and he's definitely doing everything to catch up to him.
Yeah, I think you're going to start seeing that front left hard tire of GT's is he's going to be pushing that to try and keep his advantage, but it's like it's a devil, you know, it's a contract with the devil though. Like the harder you push, the more slower that tire is going to be in the later laps of the race. Whereas Planty, sorry, he looks like he's managing to manage them tires. He's just set a 1:30.6 fastest lap of the race as well. It's going to be difficult for him to overtake on this track, but I think at the moment Planty's got the advantage. I really do.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like also, you know, overall I've seen throughout the seasons and races that Plenty just has managed to be seen the better tire manager. You know, every other race you come in and he seems to be on a different strategy, and even if it's be the best or not, he seems to be simply, you know, doing a better job than others on those tires.
Indeed, there seems to be a good battle here for 3rd and 4th place with Richard and Ryan there, Zabi.
That'll be interesting as we just talk about the top two, as Richard's going to go for it on the inside line. He breaks a little bit later, but just enough for Ryan to not come back and for him to stay out and up at the ahead of him there. Richard keeps it up for himself so far, and now these two are going to be fighting each other off unless Richard could pull away for a moment. Other than that, it is going to be Ryan Cooper now around the outside. He'll get the opportunity. Can he break later than the car up in front? He's going to be certainly trying so, but he just as the inside line does, Richard pushes Ryan a little bit wide, and RLD will stay out and ahead of Ryan there just for the moment, as Ryan's going to go for it on the inside now, try and get a better exit out here. Will he be able to do that? Yes, he will. He'll get the better exit up front and ahead of RLD into P3, but again they'll be on the main straight into lap 14 they'll go, and again they will possible chance for RLD to come back and have the opportunity for a move, but I don't think so, as Ryan has just gained enough, at least for him to be safe, for into turn 1, 2, and 3, for him to not be in much of a pressure that he possibly would have put RLD on the last couple of laps. Unless Ryan makes a bit of a mistake here, RLD might, just for the moment on this lap, might not be able to catch him. But let's see what exactly going to be happening. And moving through the rest of the field, there isn't much drivers, you know, closer to each other at all, apart from Page and Jones here. You know,
Oh,
Jones.
Page is on softs actually. I hadn't noticed that. That's it's going to be hard to get them tires to the end. He's going to have extra grip and he's going to have extra braking strength in corners, but the moment you start hearing them tires screech in the corners, them softs are going to be eating away. And I don't know if he's made a good choice here or a bad choice, but you know, credit to him. I hope he makes it to the end, but I reckon that front left of his car, if he doesn't manage it too well, is going to come back and bite him in a bit. But good luck, Pagey.
Yep, definitely, and I think he's already trying all his best he can to get past Jones there. We'll see how many can he do that, though. He's already switched up to the outside line of Jones there. He wants to be braking at the perfect time to not get let Jones through, but he runs a little bit wide. Jones will come back at him, but still they both will be side by side. Who gets the better exit? Both will be making contact a little bit. Is it going to be Page? Is it going to be Jones? Page just has the inside and will get the better exit into the final corner now, but we just might see
We've just had a new race leader as well here, Zabi, I think GT and Planty are going harder car. A little scrape there on the turn in there. Oof, it's just unsettled Planty's car. I think Planty's going to be firing this car into a corner shortly. He needs to as well. If he's on the stronger tyre here, Planty, and he's just got a little bit more grip than GT at the moment, he needs to get this track position. He needs to get this position soon, just so he can keep his car in front, just the same way GT is now. It's such a tight track to get around at these speeds.
Definitely, I think one thing I'm looking at here is, despite you know, GT being on a harder tire, his front left looks a little bit worse than Plenty's front left, who's on the medium compounded tire. So despite being on the better tire, he's got his tires in better conditions than GT has. So definitely we're in for it here as we're heading into the final 2 laps of this race.
The car will carry slightly more speed on the stronger compound, even though they're very similar for wear at the moment. But what you have to remember as well is you know, Planty's in dirty air here. I mean, it's great on the straight where it's straight, but you know, in these corners, it really unsettles the car at times. But I really do figure that he's going to try and get this done soon. They both have to.
They both have to, and he might get it done now, as he's going to be going for it on the outside line, and he will get it done, as the move will be done, and brilliantly, Plenty has done it. He wasn't going to wait for it any longer, and he's got the job done. Or has he, though? Because GT's now going to come back at him, and he might have to defend a little bit better, as he's going to run a little bit wide. Will GT have enough grip and traction to get himself past him there? No, he won't, but that, for a moment, looked that he was going to catch it back again, but Plenty has done and got it back, and brilliantly done from Plenty there as he gets the move done. For a moment you've thought GT's going to come back, but at least by the looks of it so far, Plenty has got the job done.
Yeah, it looks like GT's just settling a little bit here and maybe just trying to get the car and himself together for maybe one last push on the last lap. But yeah, from my perspective, unless Planty makes a mistake here, it could be job done for Planty. But we'll see from GT. We'll see. Oh, if Nitu has a complete tyre degradation on front left, this will be a great example to see for effectively that car is like running it with a small puncture. So it's virtually got no grip in its long turns of rights. And he's also got very low fuel. Looks like Lissandro and Numpty Ned are probably going to have one last battle for the last lap.
All right, for a moment I would have thought. And all right, so we're here again. I'm not sure if you were hearing me for a moment or not because I think my mic was muted. But yep, definitely the fight is on. I think the final lap battles are on already.
I can hear you loud and clear now anyway, but no, I couldn't hear you a second ago. But yeah, it looks like Planty's going to secure this position unless he makes a dreadful mistake. But it looks like Lissandro is hot on the chase for Numpty Ned. And to be honest, Numpty's in a bad position here with his front left tyre. Lissandro's just got to try and get this car set right for an overtake. But it's a tight track. It doesn't look it, but oh, he's going to have him here. But then Numpty's going to have the inside line, so it's going to be interesting. What did he do? He's got to get that car. He's got to get his elbows out. He's a young lad and he's a good driver, but go on.
Will the opportunity will be there for him as they both will be side by side once more. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, the driver Plenty has taken over as he wins race 1 here in Barcelona with GT in P2. Ryan Cooper finishes P3 to them as Richard will finish up in P4 with a brilliant finish as well as Lissandro will get that P5. Meanwhile, Numpty runs absolutely wide and Smoke will get that P6 with Portwood in P7 and Numpty Ned will have to settle in for P8 as what Jones now will come around the final corner to take that 9th and Numpty just lost it away into the final corner there.
Yeah, I was saying, you know, that medium front left tyre was wearing out very quick with Lissandro behind him. And, you know, it looks like he effectively had a puncher on his last 2 fastest right-hand turns. So it was the kitty litter for Numpty Ned, unfortunately.
Definitely, and now as we're just getting to the end of this race, everybody has taken the checkered flag apart from Wolf here, who's just still on their final lap in P13. But definitely with the brand new season, everybody scoring points. Doesn't matter where you finish, you still get points. Is a nice initiative as well that at least helps everybody score points. Meanwhile, Wolf at the end of it, and we are at the end of this one. Plenty then, despite the fight from GT, takes it in to really win race 1. And that means they will be starting race 2 in the last place. But let's have a look at the results one more time. Plenty won it ahead of GT by over 1.37 seconds with Ryan Cooper in 3rd place in P3 with RLD in P4. Lissandro completed out the top 5 with Smoke, Portwood and Numpty Ned in the top 8. With Jones in P9, followed by Page completing out the top 10. Then just outside were the 3 of Nitu, Craze and Wolf. Now that's going to be interesting with Wolf, Craze, Nitu all in the top 3. P4 for Page, but P5 for Jones could be interesting. I mean, he has had some good recent races, so that could possibly mean that he has a good opportunity to fight for a podium or even the win.
See, it's a difficult one, this track, and even with the right practice and the time put into it, you know, it is such a tricky car, the Lexus on this track, but you've had some cracking results from some of these races this season, you know. Wolf Cub, he's had some great results, but I haven't seen him practicing much on this track this week, so you know, he shouldn't beat himself up for the result here. It's a difficult track and it's hard to judge the tires, but great from Planty, great from GT, Rich, Ryan, unfortunate from Numpty Ned, but you know, you win some, you lose some, but great racing overall.
Absolutely, I mean, fantastic racing. I think you know, also on top of racing, we got to know much all about, you know, what their driver doing, what their strategy is, all sorts of that. And I'm sure all of the viewers watching would have enjoyed this one here, as we've got an appreciation comment to let you know, Kane. So that is a +1 on our setup for the first time for us to come. I mean, it's a great one. Obviously, it's a bit of a test as well, you know, on how this is going to go for us to be here for the first time, but I have to say, at least been great so far.
Well, I've enjoyed watching your commentary and analysis of the racing I've been part of this year. Like I say, through illness, I've got to do this with you, and it's actually quite fun, to be honest. It's it's nicer not having your heart racing at 150 beats per minute, right? Driving around a track for 25 minutes or so. It's nice to see what some of the racers do when you're only ever concentrating on the car in front or the car behind, but it's definitely different. And well, like I say, maybe when I come back to race one time with these, maybe I've learned a few things from them from seeing what they're doing on track in this.
Definitely, I think that could be a thing, and I mean, it's all about, you know, how we present this to everybody out there. You know, now as we just we're getting the grid set up, as the grid in fact is now set up, so we should be starting in for race two, and two races means double the fun. And as soon as everybody is out on and the race is ready, we'll be going up racing once more.
Yeah, great result for MRL Planty and Smoke Dog there. You know, really good result. What else you got there? You got GT, Rich. Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a one person does better from the team than the other at the moment, but sometimes these things happen. But race two will be interesting with the reverse grid, certainly. I mean, obviously Wolf's not too comfortable with this track at the moment, but his best lap was pretty decent there. He was within Pagey, Ray's, faster than Jones's fastest lap. So he's gonna slow the pack down of the fastest drivers as such, but then it'll bring the cars bunched up closer together. So race two is going to be interesting. A tight track and bunched up cars in this class, this category of cars is this could be a recipe for disaster, or it could be some clean overtaking. But you're certainly going to see some action in this second race, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, even if he does bring the field in together, that means some action for us. So definitely, I think that's going to be good in terms of that. So if you talk about we're definitely going to be liking that if he does so for us.
Oh, certainly, and I'm sure some of them will be wanting to get their heads down, but also not be the highlight of a commentary, so to say, with a mistake or two. So I'm sure the pressure's on the drivers as well. Whereas for us, I suppose it's a bit easier, really, and we get to watch and commentate and speak about their driving skills on the track.
Definitely, I mean it's only fun for us to commentate and get the insight of everything what they're going to be going through. It's almost like we're on top of everything, seeing what's going on. If an overtake opens, we enjoy. If a crash happens, we enjoy. Obviously not wishing on anything to happen, but obviously if it does, it's just a bit of an entertainment for us.
Oh, definitely. We all know that, we don't want them to be crashing, but it does make for great highlight reels. And obviously, it's nice going forward where some drivers might just remind each other of a certain track and a certain turn where they've made a mistake or two before. So I look forward to potentially seeing the odd driver come off the track, but it's not how you fall off, is it? It's how you get back up and how you finish the race. So I wish them all the best, but I certainly hope I see some comings together or argy-bargy potentially.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, sure we had some overtakes, but in terms of some incidents, definitely the race was a bit quiet. You gotta say, race one. So if there is something to like in race two, we'd enjoy it certainly.
I think you're going to see the reverse grid. It's going to compact the faster drivers at the back with a bit more confidence together. But again, like a recipe for a win here is don't come off the track, don't get damage for the car. Try and get positions when you can, but again, it's all risk reward. If you don't go for these overtakes, you're going to be stuck behind cars. But I really do expect that some of these drivers now, after that race one, are probably going to be really changing up their pit strategies on what lap they go for, and not for the fact that like they think the tires will be better for it, but just for the fact that if they pit a lap or two earlier than they did before in the last race, that potentially they're going to have clean air to really push the car and try and get that time back when someone else pits at a different time as such. So for us, Zabi, I think it's just going to be sit back, relax, and watch potentially the fireworks go off.
Yeah, definitely. I think we'd be waiting for that. and things to happen as we just wait for the moment for the grid to be get set up and for us to get started. 17 laps, just enough time for them to go racing, for us to see a pit stop, mandatory pit stop out of the way. Still not way too long, but then also not too short as well. It's almost like a perfect sort of length, from 17 to 20 laps on a certain track to just get us through. And it's almost like what we're looking for, especially making it 2 races. It's also, as a driver, would you prefer, one single longer race or 2 races just like this, of shorter lengths?
Well, see, the pressure's really there on a long race, because one mistake holds you for the whole race. If you're talking about two 25-minute average race times, that's nice, it's nice, but when you've got 1 50-minute race, one mistake, it carries the whole race as such. You might lose 10 seconds from coming off track or a crash or a collision, but that affects your result for the whole race. Where some of these drivers now that have had 25 minutes racing, they might not have figured out what the strategy perfectly would have been, and they might have had a coming together or coming off the track, but it gives them that second chance in the second race to kind of really dial in what they thought was going to get them the points or positions they wanted before.
Certainly, as we just are about to get started, the grid is ready and we should be going racing in no time, as we're waiting on the lights to go out and us to go racing, as everybody is ready and out on track now for the second time once more. Wolf on pole, Jake Craze in P2, Nitu in P3, 5 red lights, and we go racing here at Barcelona de Catalunya for the second time in this evening. That's going to be Wolf on pole. He's got a decent start. Craze in P2, followed by Nitu round the outside in P3. Meanwhile, all those at the back are going for it. Meanwhile, Nitu's going to be going for it on the inside, or will he? He won't be. Rather, yes, he will be, as he's gained up time on his teammate. His position on his teammate into P2. Wolf still keeps up his lead so far with RLD in P4. A brilliant start for him there, followed by Jones, who's in P5 as well. Just stays there with one Wood in P6. Plenty already in P7. That is a brilliant start from him from the bottom of the grid, followed by Ryan Cooper in P8 as well. Meanwhile, Smoke around the outside of Numpty Ned to trying to get the move done. He'll just stay ahead of Numpty Ned there, and we'll get ninth place for him.
Great from Planty there. I mean, he's really made his positions up early on. Incredible, really. But yeah, it looks like Wolf's gone for a different strategy to the rest of the team. He's gone for racing softs, and that'll just give him a little bit of pressure off from all the cars potentially that are quicker around the track behind him, being on the stronger compound. But he will be pitting after 2 or 3 laps, so interesting from him, but it takes a bit of pressure off him as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's such a situation, where that you don't have much speed or pace to fight against these guys anyways. You might as well use what you have for your advantage, putting on a soft tire, be it for 2 or 3 laps, but if you can stay ahead of those guys, maybe some part of the race it does help you, maybe not such thing, but still a little bit of a help, as we just watch C Jones get past Craze into P4 and make it up to the top 4 here, as RLD is already in P3 and right behind Nitu now, and anytime he will be getting past Nitu. He might be getting past Nitu here on the inside line. Will he be, though? Yes, he will be. Nitu's going to hang in there around the outside, but he might have to back out of it. Also, RLD being on a soft compound tyre, so definitely we could get an idea of how fast YFEV is that fast. So all of a sudden, he is on a set of soft tyres as well.
Yeah, it looks like Wolf and Richard will be going for the 2-stop strategy. So from Richard's perspective here, he's really got to get these laps in. Same for Wolf. They've got to get these lap times in, get a bit of an advantage. But the key really is pitting on the correct lap, because you go that extra lap and you think you're going to gain a couple of seconds, but in reality, you're going to be losing 4 or 5 seconds to the tires being dead.
Yeah, definitely that makes sense, and that why what we're going to be getting up front, as Nitu is in P3 now, and he's already going to be in a bit of pressure from Jones as well now right behind. So despite starting on that hard compound tyre by the looks of it, all drivers keep coming behind him on those softer compound tyres. Then there's again trying to take an overtake. Meanwhile, Plenty has managed to make an overtake and up to P5 now, so he's got the opportunity. Meanwhile, Ryan Cooper is in P7, but he's got Craze ahead of him in P6, only separated by a few hundredths of a second as Ryan's going to go for it on the inside line, just breaks where he needed to be, and brilliantly has got the move done up into P6. So definitely all those faster drivers coming up from the back of the grid are making progress early on in this race. We might not have our friend here, Kane, for the moment, but then we're going to be continuing on to look at all of this so far. So Ryan Cooper is in P6 at the moment. He makes a little bit of mistakes and runs a little bit wide. That might allow Craze to come back, but it doesn't just yet for the moment, as Ryan still stays in P6. I'm sure we'll be looking forward to make his way up the field and catch up to Plenty. Meanwhile, Jones, for a moment, you would have thought he's going to make up the move on Nitu, but just doesn't manage to get it done just yet. But RLD, meanwhile, we were looking at all the other things, and Richard has managed to take the lead and get the race leader, as Wolf is now dropped down into P4 with Jones and Nitu up ahead of him. Meanwhile, RLD is over 1 second ahead of the next car, with Nitu now being on the hard tyre along with Jones on the medium, could be fighting each of the rough, and we're already on lap 4, so possibly that could be interesting to see that if RLD is able to still manage and maintain that gap over 1 second for another lap on those soft tyres.
Indeed, it looks like he's managing pretty well, and Jones here seems to be doing really well on approaching Nitu. It looks like he's going to go for the lunge, or is he just trying to fake him out? It's very interesting and tight there.
Definitely not yet just going for the move, and definitely you have to say RLD has done a decent job in managing those tires. His front left is almost about to be gone, so either he's coming in at the end of this lap or at the end of the next lap. Possibly he should be coming in at the end of this lap, but he still has got over 1.1 seconds to the next car, and if Jones and Nitu keep fighting, that'll only help RLD, because he'll get a lot of breathing space, and those two wouldn't be doing any good to themselves in terms of having the opportunity at the lead up, but rather fighting each other off, and that would only help RLD gain a bit of time and them to lose time on him at the front and help him maybe stay out for another lap.
Indeed. It looks like Rich will probably be wanting to pit this lap, and the only benefit he gets from this really here is he's going to be in clean air when he comes out. So new race leader with our friend Nitu.
Yeah, Nitu then leads here at Barcelona, gets the lead to himself, at least for now, with Jones in P2, followed by Plenty. Meanwhile, already is in P3. Sure, a couple of drivers would have got off the way for pit stop, but definitely that is Plenty into P3. He's done a brilliant job, along with Ryan Cooper, who's into P4 as well, with One Parawood in P5. Smoke in P6, and Smart and Lysandra might be in a bit of a fight very soon now, but then being on the same compounded tyre, and that the hard tyre as compared to, you know, some other tyre compounds, it's just like brand new.
Yeah, Lysandro seems to be really comfortable in this Lexus, to be honest. He's very impressive for his experience in GT racing in this league so far. But him and Smoke are certainly they're not going to let each other past. But it's nice to watch.
Definitely, they're fighting each other off, and they're not really going to let each other on. But also, how much of a
Carl's just gone for a nice overtake on Nitu. Slight scrape onto Nitu's car, but good overtake nonetheless.
That is interesting, yes. Carl takes the lead of the race now, and we have another new leader, third race leader here within 5 laps. And being on the medium tyre, definitely would have been looking to make the move on Nitu as quick as he can making the use most of those tyres, and he's been doing that. Meanwhile, Ryan Cooper might be on his way to get ahead of Plenty. Plenty goes defensive on the inside line. Ryan will have the outside line heading towards turn 1. Plenty will switch up on the inside line, might try and break later than Ryan Cooper. Both of them will still be side by side. They make contact, and they'll again will be wheel to wheel. And Plenty goes a little bit wide, comes back out on track, and stays ahead of Ryan Cooper.
Yeah, he's just on the limit there with Ryan, but both cars got around the corner in the end with no penalties or severe damage. So great racing. I'm sure Ryan will be wanting that position back now anyway, and he's going to try his best for it.
Yep, he's definitely going for it. As for a moment you've thought he's going to go for it there, but he didn't go for it quite. I think just backing out there, knowing that, okay, this might not be the best time or the place to make a move there, because it could potentially end up in a contact. I'm sure with just 6 laps in out of 17 here, they wouldn't want to be doing that just early enough yet. And these reflections are almost absolutely killing, so forget about, you know, those drivers racing, but for us just spectating it.
Yeah, see, some races, I mean, they're not in this league, but I've seen it in other leagues where they use a very, very metallic or pearlescent paint, and it can be very distracting to the car behind.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've seen so as well. Drivers just doing those tactics, and definitely this paint thing would be such a you know, one of the tactics as well, especially the graphics of, you know, GT7 overall, that how much these reflections and everything works, and especially right where, you know, how, as we just talk about things, as Plenty's going to go for it on the inside line on need to now, and he wouldn't have waited for too long, and he'll get past him and get the move done, and he will be on his way to overtake, as he's done it brilliantly.
I think Carl just may have stayed out 1 lap too more here. Planty's going to really reel him in with that front left on Carl's medium. Watch out for that.
Definitely that's going to be the case, as well as Ryan Cooper has now made the move on Nito as well around the outside, as he's just got the move into P3. So definitely this might just turn into a 3-way fight, as Plenty just runs a little bit wide onto the curb, but has to come back out on track. And definitely the Carl's tyre we were talking about, it is completely gone. And won't be surprised if he runs a little bit wide around here into the right-hander, and sure he does, as Brian, along with Plenty, will be through and ahead of C. Jones there. They will be side by side. Meanwhile, Nitu is trying to overtake C. Jones as well, as Nitu runs a little bit wide. He might not be able to get the move done. So that is brilliantly done from Carl to just stay ahead of E2. Meanwhile, E2 now will get past him, as Carl can't just keep it, you know, within where he should be with that tire, and has to back and doesn't try to back out, but definitely runs very wide, not allowing him to stay ahead and others to overtake.
Yeah, it looks like Carl went for the safe pit entry there with that tyre as well, but great driving from Nitu. Nitu actually outbraked himself alongside Carl, but decided to take his car wide to not hit Ryan in the back, so good racing from Nitu.
Yeah, definitely. I think such situations are really, really hard to think of, especially when you're going side by side. You don't think much about saving the driver or just playing it safe, but I think when somebody does play it safe, it does definitely show that they do a brilliant job, not only racing, but then also in certainly trying to save the other car around as well, because you're not only racing for yourself, but you're at least, you know, as a sportsman, as showing sportsmanship, you do just enough to not harm the other party.
Yeah, indeed. It looks like, although it's hard to tell at the moment, it looks like Rich I reckon he's definitely going for a 2-stop strategy. It just depends. Is he going to go soft, medium, soft? But he's just set a personal best in Sector 1 by a 1,000th of a second. So he's getting a little bit quicker.
Yeah, he definitely will be.
GT appears to have had a great comeback as well. He went really far back at the beginning, and he's in 7th position now behind Lissandro.
Yeah, that is interesting. Actually, couldn't find GT after the start. You know, where did he go? But he's up back in P7, being on the hard tyre. He's still got a couple of laps on those tires, and definitely he's got the opportunity to make a couple of laps, a couple of overtakes with with Lissandro, Smoke, and Nitu, all these guys up at the front. Meanwhile, One Para Wood is in P3 as Ryan Cooper and Plenty could well be fighting each other off soon, both of them being on the same compound tyre.
Nice overtake there from Smoke Dog on Nitu. Nitu looks like he's just kind of outdone his tyres there a little bit, but either way, he'll continue.
Yeah, definitely he'll continue, and surely he has overdone his tyres now, as that front left is absolutely gone, and he's going to be getting no grip at all, as now GT will be on his way to make the move. Meanwhile, it's Numpty Ned, actually, not GT, trying to make the move. Numpty's already through and ahead of Me2 there, so definitely he's going to have to just possibly... Oh, there's going to be a move coming up from Numpty Ned on the inside line, as they both will be side by side. Need to just get a better exit there on Numpty Ned, but again the right ender, which is going to be another front left eater, might allow Numpty to get through, and he will get through nice and easy. He does it there.
Yeah, you can see the difference there. Same car, you know, same tyres, just slight different wear, but look how much Numpty Ned's car wanted to turn in that corner and Nitu's didn't.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think a lot depends on the grip and, you know, how much they have, and exactly that's... I think also one thing is an art. Driving one end is an art. On the other, it is the tire management, isn't it? You know, how good can one driver really do better than the other?
Exactly that. Like, necessarily the lap times, the fastest times, not always the quickest sort of thing that's going to win you the race. It's a balance of that and how well you can manage them tires. And some people have different strategies, but if you can be quick and manage the tires, that's the key spot that you want really as a racer.
Yeah, brilliantly, and I think it's almost like, you know, as we say, consistency is key almost in certain things and everything, pretty much to maintain what we're going to be getting as drivers are pretty much closer to each other, as Plenty and Ryan Cooper still within 8/10 of each other. Not much overtakes between the two. One Para Wood in a state of his own with Smoke over 1.2 seconds behind. Meanwhile, Lissandro and Smoke could be going in for a little bit of a fight though here, along with GT. So these three are the drivers to keep an eye on, which we might just see a bit of a fight between these guys soon, as they are all catching up to One Para Wood as well now. So that might just turn into not 1-2, into not 2-3, but a 4-car fight at this point.
Yeah, he's doing really good, Woody, here in the position he's in. As long as he keeps his head down and just doesn't make any mistakes, he's coming in the pits anyway. But yeah, great racing from Woody there.
Definitely, and everybody's followed him apart from Numpty Ned there. No, in fact, everybody's coming in who was following these guys, apart from GT, I should say, has stayed out. But everybody, almost everybody's into the pits from P3 all the way to P8. Be it Numpty Ned, Lissandro, Smoke, One Para Wood, Ryan, Plenty. Everybody's now in to make their pit stops.
Yeah, I say, to me, it looks like Rich is probably going to try and push these mediums maybe to the end of lap 12, lap 13 if he can. And then what does he do? He could come in the end of this lap and put another set of mediums on, to be honest. Interesting tactics from Rich. He's the only person that I can see so far, other than Wolf Cub, that's probably going for a 2-stop strategy.
Definitely, I think these guys starting on the soft tyre, you pretty much have to compromise a lot in terms of, you know, what tyre options you have. You have to use, you know, another compound. Even if you do, you know, it's a certain of situation. Obviously, soft tyre isn't going to last you much. So, if you are going to go for a 2-stop, you can't even pit for two set of soft tyres. It's almost like you need a bit of a boost at the front at the start of it, and then that's it. When you get that, you certainly need, you know.
This is going to be interesting though, Zabi, for position 3, third. Looks like Plenty has a half-second time penalty, and Ryan's right behind him.
Yep, definitely, and I think Plenty made a bit of a mistake as well, and that resulted in this one and his penalty, and that would certainly mean Ryan Cooper and Plenty, both of them, will have the opportunity to fight each other off, and Ryan here has a golden opportunity as Plenty runs wide a little bit once again, finds a bit of gravel, and this is going to be interesting to see here, and I'm not sure why, but he's definitely struggling, is Plenty after on the exit of the pit lane. Definitely those tires are not warmed up, and we could see that already as Ryan heading towards turn 1 might have the opportunity to get ahead of him, as Plenty does absolutely well to defend first the inside line, then go back to the racing line. Does brilliantly despite making a couple of mistakes to cope up on those on his position, and he's just kept it up for himself so far.
Yeah, great driving from both of them. Looks like Planty's just taken a little bit of the track limit. He's probably just poked a tyre or two just out beyond the white line. And that'll make it more entertaining for us, because Ryan will probably take the lead at the next penalty point.
Definitely, and I think when that comes in, Plenty will have to slow down. Ryan will be. It's almost like he'll be laughing under the helmet to see that, okay, I'm going to be taking that place, but it'll be double the laugh for Plenty if Ryan here gets a bit of a penalty. But will he be able to get past? Yes, he will be. Nice and easy. And he gets the job done, unless he outbreaks himself here. Or has he done, though? Because it looks like he ran a little bit wide. Almost allowed Plenty to get his nose in. For a moment, you thought he's going to get a nose in. Not enough about now, but almost for a moment, and Rary slightly gets his tires again in the gravel, and that definitely means, not sure if it's Dertier or something, but Plenty is definitely struggling on some of those corners, on those front and front and rear left tires.
Yeah, it's a combination of a few things here, but it looks like we got Woody on Carl Jones on the main straight as well. I think Planty just needs to get his composure, and he'll be doing better then.
Definitely, as Par Wood is going to be on the way to try and get the move done on Jones, as Jones is going to be having the inside line. He's trying to defend and keep up his position. He's been doing that so far, but he runs a little bit wide, and that'll have opened the gate for Wood. Nice and easy. Meanwhile, Smoke will be coming up on the inside of him as well, and he will, at the looks of it, might get the job done. And as he does, will he get the job done, though? Because they're still will to will. For a moment, I thought Smoke is through, but maybe he is not through just yet. As they again both will be will to will, as yep, Jones is through. At least he's managed to keep and defend his position for the moment. Maybe Smoke will be coming back at him once more, and yes, he will be coming back at him, as they both will be side by side. Both, despite being on the medium compound tyre, Smoke is just not able to get past him through. He's got tyres in better conditions. As Jones' tyres are not in so good condition, as Numpty now goes for it on the inside line, and he will get the job done, and he spun round. Smoke has spun round. This is a huge incident, and that will be a big problem, because Smoke and Jones, both of them, have collided, and that will see a lot of things change in this race, as both of them will lose so many positions, and even if they don't lose many positions, an opportunity which could have allowed them to fight for the top positions will be lost, as now Numpty in P5, as Richard is on his way to get past Lysandra, but Lysandra is going to come back at him, heading towards turn 4. Lysandra will just not, and RLD is through into P6.
I'm guessing Numpty Ned got a really good run, Smoke and Jones, but I didn't see him coming, so I have no idea if that was a clean overtake or not, but I'm sure there'll be some reviews after this race. But either way, it's been shaken up a little bit.
Definitely, and I think with this one, it was interesting to see they were going side by side. I'm in lap 14. Everybody knows that we're going to be at the end of it soon of this race, so they're just taking every opportunity they get, and I think that resulted in not so good one here, as Jones and Smoke are now down in P9 and 10.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Sometimes a couple of great races there have unfortunately been spun, or they've spun from the cause of a crash or an incident. But, you know, good characteristics on them all, though. Get the red down, keep in the race, and, you know, just don't give up and go to the end. Points to be won, so get out there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, it's a good thing with everybody scoring points. It's almost like, sure, a good thing of drive everybody getting points, but then also a bit of a motivation for everybody to keep on, isn't it? You know, otherwise somebody who says, okay, I don't have the opportunity to get to the top 10, or, you know, a chance to fight for the points. I'm gonna retire out or get out of this race now. You know, if there's a mistake or an incident. But now, with points being awarded for every position you finish, and the higher you finish, the more points there are, everybody's interest is still the same about finishing the race.
Definitely, I think it makes the competition closer overall. And to be fair, I've never really been in a point system that was based like this, but to be honest, it's pretty positive. To be fair, you know, it really does help things out. It makes the league closer as well. So uh, certainly happy with the way the point allocation system works from a racing perspective from myself.
Yeah, definitely. I think even it's nice, you know, as you said, it helps the competition close, especially in the championship standings. Maybe not now, as it's pretty much in round 4 and very early in the season. But let's say when we're in round 10, round 11, it'll certainly look a lot closer, and definitely, and back then, up until then, we'll know that why basically this point system is and what benefits it really has.
We've got a fight for P8 here. Nitu's got very worn front left tires, and I think Smoke can sense that from behind him.
Definitely is already. He can not only sense it, but he can definitely attempt to get ahead of him, and he does get an attempt to get ahead of him as Smoke gets the overtake done, and Nitu just unable to get much on that medium, on that front left tire, as he's into the pits now for another pit stop and a set of tires. That was an interesting thing to see, but obviously, I mean, he just unable to manage that front left tire, and that resulted in another set of pit stops, and that has certainly resulted in this one for himself to get a pit stop, and then, you know, for him to get out. And obviously, as we talked about it earlier, there's still points wherever you finish, and by the looks of it, he might just still finish in P10 ahead of Wolf Club. That'll be plenty of points for him to cheer on.
Indeed. I mean, just looking at position 2 here and P3 with GT. I mean, GT's got better tires than Plenty, but it looks like he's just trying to push a little bit too much and has got a penalty in the last lap or two, and just served a half-second penalty. He doesn't want that if he wants to get P2, but Ryan's doing a great job, and Plenty looks like he's pretty happy in the position he's in too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and especially gap over 2 seconds. Unless somebody makes a huge mistake, you know, with them now heading over into the final lap of the race, there isn't much you can do, right? Even 2 laps remaining over a 2-second gap. You know, unless you're on absolutely brand new tires as compared to everybody else, there won't be much, or at least 2 seconds, unless they make a huge mistake. You won't really be, you know, doing a heroics to gain that much. So definitely, I think with that, Plenty would have sensed that, and he's simply opting for a P2 here.
Yeah, it looks like P4, P5, P6, and P7 are probably the closest people on the track to really get either a position gained or a position lost at this point on the last lap now.
Yeah, those guys are, and that possibly also pretty much a bit of a fight with one another, apart from RLD and Empty Net, who are actually within half a second on each other. So possible bit of fight between these guys could happen, along with yep, actually, oh, GT has gained up then. GT has gained up a bit of time on Plenty there. 1.2 seconds still remaining between the two. But by the looks of it, GT then has been pushing pretty much a lot. That has gained him a lot of time.
Yeah, looks like the lads in the cars have got the fuel loads perfect. They're going to be crossing the line with like 2% fuel as well. Some of these guys lucky not to run out really, but again, can't take it away from them. They've got the strategies in.
At all, as Ryan Cooper will make their way around the final corner and take a victory. And Ryan Cooper making it multiple victories throughout the season as he wins race 2 here in Barcelona de Catalunya. Plenty finishing in P2 in race 2, P1 in race 1, P2 in race 2 with GT in P3, followed by Wampara Wood in P4, Numpty Ned in P5. A bit of unfortunate finish in race 1 for them. Race 2 is brilliant. Meanwhile, RLD in P6 as well, followed by Lissandro in P7. P8 for Smoke, P9 for Jones up to the end of it, as Nitu is our driver who's going to be up and over the next car to the finish line and take 10th place. He runs absolutely wide, but just the final corner he's got to go, and to the finish line he'll take P10. And our final driver, it is Wolf, and he is just entered into the final corner, and he's got a bit of feel, still enough fuel for him to finish, but he's going to maybe taking care of the car to finish it nice and easy, does it? And now the only driver that we are waiting on, and that is going to be the end of it, ladies and gentlemen. Wolf takes the second flag as well, and these were your 2 races. That was some brilliant racing in race 2 as well.
Yeah, it was, and highly suspect some of the drivers will be can't wait to get to the next track and a different car class, shall we say. That was a very tricky track to race on with that category of car.
Yeah, definitely. So now pretty much we're getting in. What are your thoughts, Kane, and what do you think was the highlight of the race and highlight of the event, the highlight of the session, especially from race 1 to race 2, and overall of the drivers? How did they form up around here for you?
Well, well, to be honest, I mean, great qualifying from 3 of the drivers there, getting 128s in qualifying. That was cracking. There's a lot of strength in some of the teams here, but Ryan and Planty seem to have done really well. GT as well, because I remember him coming off track, I think, at the beginning of the race, and to get back into 3rd position. Great from Woody. Again, Richard did an alternative strategy to other people. He's probably one of the only drivers I'll see ever do 2 or 3 stops in a race, but good on him, and great consistency from Ned. And again, Smoke, quality race. Yeah, he got a better position in the first race. Lissandro doing really well as well for his age and his experience within this racing league. Again, great racing from everyone else. Unfortunate to see 2 drivers DNF, but sometimes big collisions and crashes just completely take people out of the race. But we come again next week on a different track and different cars, and sometimes that pays better for other drivers with their strengths and weaknesses, where with me as myself, like, this isn't a strong track for me as such, and I'm kind of happy I wasn't on this track. But yeah, certainly going to make the driver standings very interesting, and the team standings. So, well, hopefully some of the drivers that didn't get the positions they wanted today can come back next week with a stronger mentality and stronger racecraft and get that position and points that they want.
Yeah, definitely. And then that's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. It was myself, Zabi, along with Kane, bringing you guys a duo commentary tonight. And I hope you all really enjoyed this racing action, along with commentary insights as well. This is going to be it pretty much. We got to head out now, and that'll be it. Any last words, Kane?
No, well, thank you very much actually for having me on here. It's been great fun, and it's been interesting to see it from this perspective. And keep doing what you're doing, brother, because I enjoy watching it. And I'll see you next week.
Awesome, thank you for your kind words, and you did absolutely well as well here tonight. So that's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be heading out. See you soon. Peace.